अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रये। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। नमः सर्वेभ्यो सर्वेषां कृते स्वागतम्। Welcome to this session. So today we are discussing two shlokas from the 9th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. We'll be doing shlokas number 11 and 12. So for the benefit of those who have joined new today, the Bhagavad-Gita is a book which gives us a particular form of knowledge that is not taught to us in the contemporary education system. It teaches us that we can derive permanent happiness, a certain form of happiness that is beyond what we normally get in this world. The basis for that is the understanding that we are eternal. So normally, conventional education, we don't get this idea that we exist eternally. That question of where were we before this birth, or what happens to us after this birth is over, after we die in this lifetime, that question is not yet clearly answered by modern knowledge systems, right? So in India, in the Indian knowledge system, like the Bhagavad Gita, for example, this question was very well answered. And across all Indian knowledge systems, except one, the Charvaka system, the understanding was that the living being is eternal. It has no birth or death. It is just going through different lifetimes. If that is the case, then there is the opportunity for exploring for what is called as permanent happiness. And that is what the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. It tells us that we are eternal. Even if this body dies or something happens to this body, nothing actually happens to us. And we can explore our spiritual nature. We can discover our spiritual nature. And thereby, we can also establish a relationship with the supreme living being, Sri Bhagavan, Parameshwara. So we establish our eternal relationship with him, and in his company, experience eternal happiness, permanent happiness. So today, today's shlokas also, and the narrative from the Bhagavatam that we are going to listen to today will show us what this actually means. Now, before I go further, let me also give you a very quick overview of what happens before the first, what happens in the first 8 chapters before we come to the 9th chapter. So when Sri Bhagavan begins answering or addressing Arjuna's confusion, he starts with telling him about the nature of the living being as the Atma inside the body. Then he urges Arjuna to do Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the attempt or the process to connect with Bhagavan by doing our duties sincerely, but with detachment from the fruits of the duties. Then he also talks about Jnana Yoga. So when one is sufficiently mature in the process of Karma Yoga, then one can advance to the stage of Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, the full form is Karmana Yoga, Karma Yoga. Through karma, through our duties. Yoga, connecting with Bhagavan, is Karma Yoga. Jnanena Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Through Jnana. Jnana is the knowledge of our spiritual nature, our spiritual self, and Sri Bhagavan's existence. By contemplating on this knowledge in depth, then we do Jnana Yoga. For that, we require a basic qualification that is attained to Karma Yoga. Now, parallelly, there's also the process of Ashtanga Yoga, where Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are merged into Ashtanga Yoga. But the highest culmination, perfection, is achieved only through Bhakti Yoga. What is that perfection? Perfection is complete freedom from birth and death and experience of pure love the pure, the state of purity in which our relationship with Bhagavan and with all other living beings happens in the state known as prema. Okay, that perfection is achieved through the process of bhakti yoga. Bhaktya yoga, bhakti yoga. That's the expansion of bhakti yoga. So all this is touched upon in the first 8 chapters of Bhagavad-gita. The 9th chapter, in fact, the 7th chapter to the 12th chapter, the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad-gita are focused on bhakti yoga. The first 6 chapters are largely about karma yoga, and the last 6 are largely about jnana yoga. The middle 6, where we are right now, are about bhakti yoga. And so in the 9th chapter, the focus is predominantly on bhakti. Shri Bhagavan begins the 9th chapter. We have done 10 shlokas so far in the 9th chapter. He begins by telling Arjuna that because you are very pure at heart, you don't have asuya, you don't have any hatred, envy, jealousy towards others, you are qualified to hear this message from me, and I'm giving it to you. And this is Raja Vidya. This is the king of all knowledge. What I'm giving you, it's Raja Guhyam. It's also the king of all secrets. So after saying this, Shri Bhagavan also says that it's important to have Shraddha. Like in any form of knowledge, Shraddha is required. Basic conviction is required. Right? Shraddha does not mean blind faith. It means conviction. So the basic conviction that's required in any system of understanding is also required in understanding this knowledge that I'm about to give you. So please listen to me with Shraddha, Shri Bhagavan says. And then he talks about, in the subsequent 7 shlokas after saying all this, he talks about his own nature. He reveals knowledge about himself. Right? Earlier in the first 6 chapters, he had revealed knowledge about the Atma, the Jivatma. But now he is talking about himself. He says that everything in this universe is pervaded by me. Everything comes under me. At the same time, I am completely detached from them. And therefore, it's as good as I am not present in them. I am present in everything, but I am also not present in anything because I am detached from everything. So he talks about his responsibility with detachment. He is responsible, but he's also detached. Okay, that's an example for us. That's an inspiration for us, how we should be, how we can become. And then, after saying all this, Sri Bhagavan in the last shloka that we saw in the last class, Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Says my energy, Mayadhyaksha, this material energy by my adhyaksha, means by my supervision. I am the adhyaksha, the director. And under my supervision, this prakriti of mine, it manifests all the living beings. It is responsible for the manifestation of this samsara, this material creation. And he says, because of this, because of my energy, everything in this universe actually is running. All those things depend on my energy. I am not directly involved in making things happen. Okay. Of course, the exception to that later on he will reveal as we go forward is when there are bhaktas. In the bhakta's life, Sri Bhagavan becomes personally involved. He will come to that now in the 9th chapter after a few more shlokas. But this is what he says. This is how the universe predominantly runs. Under his adhyaksha, his prakriti carries out everything. So what does Bhagavan himself do? He doesn't do anything other than desire. His Ichha. Ichha is a part of Bhagavan. Ichha is also a part of us. We have some qualities in common with Bhagavan. And one of them is the ability to desire. And when Bhagavan desires something, his energy immediately carries that out according to his desire. His energies understand his desire. Okay. Similarly, for us, our desires take us into the different tendencies that we have. Because of our desires, we develop different types of tendencies, orientations. And those, they instigate action in us. We do different types of actions. Of course, the extent to which we can do something or not do something depends on the karma that we have. If we have sufficient good karma, the punya karma, then we can do a lot of things in accordance with our desire. But if we don't have that, we may still have desire. We will still have. A poor man also desires a lot of things, but he can't do it. He doesn't have the ability to do it. That's because his karma limits him to do only that much. But in the case of Bhagavan, there is no question of punya or papa. He is beyond punya and papa. He is unlimited. He is ananta. Therefore, when he desires something, immediately that thing manifests. So today we are going to learn a little bit more about his nature, his qualities. In the 11th shloka, Sri Bhagavan says, Avajananti mam mudaha manushim tanumashritam param bhava majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Avajananti, avagnya. What does avagnya mean? In Hindi, avagnya means insult, right? Or disrespect. Avajananti means disrespect. Mam, me. Mudaha. Who disrespects me? Mudaha. Mudaha means a foolish person, literally. Mudaha means a foolish person, a person who does not have the intelligence I'm trying to give you now. He doesn't know. So he disrespects me. Why does he disrespect me? Manushim tanu mashritam. Because he sees that I have a body or I look like a human being. And so he thinks that just like I'm a human being, this person they are worshipping as Krishna, he's also a human being. Why is such a big fuss made about him? So like I've also narrated in the previous classes, the best example for this, which is in the Shastra, is Duryodhana. How when Krishna comes to Hastinapura to try to broker a peace between the two parties, Duryodhana is not able to understand why his own father, Dhritarashtra, who has been so supportive of him, why is he saying that, for Krishna, you should make a very special arrangement? Krishna is, after all, on the enemy's side. He's playing for he's not playing, he's fighting for the Pandavas, right? So he's on their side. He's just an enemy for us. Okay, he's coming. We'll talk to him, no problem. But why is my father saying, make an elaborate arrangement for him, give him the best treatment that you can give? He does it because his father tells him. Then he is very uncomfortable with doing that. So finally he goes to his father and tells him that, see, I've done whatever you said because you're my father, but I don't know why we are doing this. And I caution you not to do too much. Because if you do too much, he may think that we are scared of him. And we shouldn't give that impression to anybody. We shouldn't send a signal that we are very impressed with you or scared of you. Because in Duryodhana's mind, Krishna was just another human being. After all, he was born in some institute of the world. Actually, he was not even the son of Vasudeva. To the world, he was the son of Nanda and Yashoda, right? Only Vasudeva knew that he was his son. And what were Nanda and Yashoda? They were Gopalakas, cowherds in a village called Vrindavan, Gokula. And they were just taking care of cows. And so what is great? This guy grew up there, then finally managed to get a kingdom. He's got some relationship with Vasudeva and his sister. So he got a kingdom. He's got a big army. And now I have managed to get the army for myself. Why make a big fuss about this guy? He's still wearing the peacock feather like he was doing when he was small. So Duryodhana is simply not able to come to terms with the fact that this person is anything other than a human being. And this is not only Duryodhana's perception. This is the perception of a lot of other people as well. Even after hearing the Bhagavad-Gita, they still find it difficult to accept that this person or there is something known as God who should be worshipped in this manner. So he says, Avajananti mam mudaha manushim tanumashritam. Seeing that I have a human body, human-like body, to think I'm an ordinary human being and they disrespect me because param bhava majanantaha, not knowing my superior nature. Param bhava, my superior nature, ajanantaha. Superior nature is what? Mama bhuta maheshwaram. This nature of mine that I am actually the Maheshwara, the supreme master of all the living beings. I am the supreme master of all the living beings. Not knowing this, they think I am just a human being. The foolish disrespect me, thinking that I have a human material body, not knowing the superior nature of my existence, and that I am the master of all living beings. So what happens when this conception is maintained? Moghasha mogha karmano, mogha jnana vichetasaha, rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. So vichetasaha means vichetaha, the singular. This is a plural word. Vichetasaha. Singular is vichetaha. It comes from the root word vichetas. Vichetas means one whose intelligence has been taken away, or one who lacks intelligence, or one who's lost his mind, one who does not think clearly. So all such connotations are there for this word, vichetasaha, people who are like this. So such people, rakshasi masurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. So they have taken shelter of a nature, prakriti, mohinim prakritim. Prakriti means nature, mohinim means delusive in nature, that which is delusive, the nature which deludes them. So they have taken shelter, or they have this delusive nature, which is described by the adjectives rakshasim asurim cha. Okay, in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Sri Bhagavan will describe that, broadly speaking, The living beings have two natures, Daivi Prakriti and Asuri Prakriti. Daivi Prakriti means divine nature. Asuri Prakriti means evil nature. Divine nature versus evil nature. So now he is qualifying that evil nature in two words, Rakshasi and Asuri. Asuri is, like I said, evil nature, opposite of divine nature. Rakshasi is a form of the same thing, where one becomes even more tamasic. For Asuri, Rajasic, one who is intent on multiplying their sense enjoyment. Okay, sense enjoyment is something that is the mode of happiness for a majority of this material existence. Majority of this material existence believes that happiness comes from the senses. There's nothing beyond that, right? Rakshasi is when that nature goes to the extent of trying to destroy others. That is Rakshasi nature, okay? Just like when people are living peacefully, suddenly drop some bombs on them. Boom. Okay, like we saw happened a few days back. So just like that, go and kill people. No, there's nothing. I mean, they're living on their own. If they attack you, then you attack back. That's a different thing. But simply go and kill somebody. That is Rakshasi Bhava. Okay? So we hear about Rakshasa. So Rakshasi Masurim Saiva. So these kind of natures exist across the living beings. And when these natures exist, they delude that living being. They are not able to they don't allow the living being to open up his consciousness, to be able to accept that there is something called a higher nature, that we have a higher nature, and Sri Bhagavan belongs to that higher nature. They're not able to see. And because of that, what happens? Moghasha. Mogha, the word mogha is used. You can see moghasha, mogha karmano, mogha jnana. Moghasha means those, mogha, the word mogha means something that is in vain, useless, vain. So all their efforts, these people who have this kind of understanding, but want to make progress in spiritual life. So even a lot of people who want to understand something higher, but are not able to accept that there is some living being called Bhagavan. This Krishna who has appeared before us is Bhagavan himself. They find it difficult to accept. They want to have an abstract concept of reality and so on. Smogasha. So their efforts to advance spiritually, they go in vain. They fail. So their efforts for getting spiritual perfection go in vain. Not only spiritual perfection, but even material enjoyment. Okay, we spoke about how dharma has different levels to it. The most basic level of dharma is samanya dharma. Samanya dharma is dharma which teaches us how to be happy in this material world by getting enjoyment through sense enjoyment in a controlled and regulated manner, which is dharmic, which doesn't disturb others, which is in harmony with nature, which is sustainable, etc. That is called dharma, samanya dharma. Moga karmano means a person who has this kind of an understanding, for him even that samanya dharma, that endeavors, all those efforts to get material happiness also go in vain. And moga jnana. Moga jnana, those who are in between the two. They are trying to get knowledge. They're trying to get higher knowledge. The jnani, people on the path of jnana, right? Before they can get that spiritual perfection of bhakti. So moga jnana. So all of these paths, whichever path you take, that person, their efforts go in vain. Okay. So Sri Bhagavan essentially says that these foolish and ignorant persons that he was referring to in the previous shloka, they have a delusive materialistic nature, Mohini Prakriti, that is demoniac, Rakshasi, and evil, Asuri. Their efforts to obtain either eternal liberation or material enjoyment or spiritual knowledge, they all go in vain. So this narrative from the Bhagavatam, which I wanted to tell you today, is about something along these lines, though not exactly, but it gives us a feel of how Sri Bhagavan is entirely different from not just this material nature, but even from the jivatma, from the living beings. Okay, how is it so? So our narrative, I have titled it as The Mystery of the Missing Friends and Calves. Okay, so this is from the Bhagavatam, and it is from the Dashama Skanda of Bhagavatam, the 13th and the 14th chapters of the Dashama Skanda of Bhagavatam. So it begins with the beautiful place of Vrindavan, Brajbhumi, where Shri Krishna and his Gopa Balakas, all the friends, the cowherd boy friends of Krishna, every day they go to graze the cows. Okay? So the responsibility is divided. Their fathers, they take care of the grown-up cows. So they take them for grazing because the big grown-up cows are so big that you need a bigger person to take care of them. And these small boys who are 4 or 5 years of age, they are sent with the calves, the small calves. So they go every day to graze their calves. And as the calves are grazing, they play with each other. They play hide and seek, they climb the trees, they play with the monkeys. They have a lot of fun. And all this is described in the Bhagavad. So there is this famous incident of Aghasura. Aghasura is one of the asuras who came to Vrindavan to kill Krishna, to try to kill Krishna. It began with Putana, right? And then there is Trinavarta. And then Bakasura. Before that, Shakatasura, then Bakasura. One by one they come. I don't remember all the sequence perfectly, but Aghasura is a brother of Putana and Bakasura. So after all these elders are killed, Aghasura comes there. And Aghasura comes in the form of a snake. So he takes the form of a big snake and he goes to the place where these boys are playing and he waits for them. So then he thinks of a quick plan. His plan is that they should not know that I am waiting here to kill them. And they are, after all, children. So the best way to fool them is I expand myself and I'll keep my mouth open and they'll walk into my mouth and I'll close my mouth. And then the story is over. So Aghasura opens his mouth. He's huge in size. He looks like a big cave. His mouth looks like a huge cave. And it could as well be a mountain cave. The children can't make out, right? And it's described that his nose was touching his sky, or touching the clouds in the sky. It's so big. So the children are playing, and suddenly they see this Aghasura here. They don't know that it's a dangerous snake. So they just walk into his mouth. And as soon as they walk in, Krishna, who is behind all of them, he's just watching them. He says, this doesn't look okay to me. There's something wrong with this. And these people have just walked in without even talking to me. So then as he is reflecting on it, immediately he realizes that this is a Asura who has come. It is not a natural cave. So he has an answer also what he is going to do. So he walks in behind them. As soon as he walks in, Aghasura tries to close his mouth. But before he does that, Shri Bhagavan expands himself unlimitedly. He expands his body, just like in the Vamana avatar we hear. He appears as a Vamana. And the moment Bali says that I grant you this, immediately he begins to expand himself, right? So exactly in the same way, he expands himself and Aghasura is not able to contain him in the mouth. And he expands himself so quickly that Aghasura's mouth bursts open and all the boys come out of it. Now, from the sky or from their heavenly abode, the Devas from Swargaloka, they can see very clearly what's happening on the earth. And they're curious to know what this person is doing because they've heard that Shri Bhagavan has come and they're trying to figure out what is Bhagavan doing all the time. So they're watching from there and they watch this event. As they're watching, even their master, the master of all the Devas, who's that? That is Indra. And even above Indra is Brahma. Brihaspati is their guru, yes. So Brahmadeva, who is the topmost living being in this universe. Okay? So he's also watching. So he's watching and everybody is amazed as to how this happened, this beautiful incident happened. So after Aghasura is killed, the boys, they come out of the mouth and now they go back to their play. They're children, right? So for them, it's no big deal. Something happened. Now they're back into their play. So they're playing whole morning. And then it's time for now resting for some time. So Krishna takes them, he takes them to the bank of the Yamuna. Yamuna is very beautiful. So it's described here, the shloka I picked up. Shri Bhagavan is telling the shloka, he is speaking to his boyfriends. He says, Aho atiramyam pulinam vayasyaha, swakeli sampat mridulacha balukam, sputat sarogandha hritali patrika, dhvani pratidhvana lasat drumakulam. Look at this shloka. It's very beautifully composed by Sri Vyasadeva. It describes the beauty of the place where they reached, Krishna and the friends reached at the bank of the Yamuna. So Krishna is saying, Aho atiramyam. oh my God, it's so beautiful. Krishna is telling this to his friends. So Atiramyam, it's so beautiful. Pulinam. Pulinam refers to the sandy bank of the Yamuna. Okay, the white sand. Even today, if you go and see Yamuna, or Ganga, Mother Ganga also, her banks are white, pure white sand. So beautiful, actually. Even today, it's very beautiful. Vayasyaha, people of my age. Vayasyaha means when you address somebody of your age, same Vayas as you. Vayasyaha. Swakeli Sampat Mridulacha Balukam. This is a place for us which is ideal to play. Keli means to play. Keli means sports or general, you just want to relax, playing, enjoying, okay, casually enjoying. That's called Keli. Swakeli Sampat. This is the place where we should be playing. Because Mridulacha Balukam. Mridula means soft. Acha. Acha means good, actually. Just like in Hindi, Acha means good. Acha here means like Swachha. Very clear, pure, very clean. Swachha, clean, pure. So this sand here is soft and very clean. Balukam. Balukam means sand. The sand here in this bank is so clean, pure, and soft. And then, Sputat Sarogandha Hritali Patrika Dhvani Pratidhvana Lasat Drumakulam. It's one single word in Sanskrit. Okay. So in Sanskrit, unlike in most other languages, English definitely doesn't have this. Maybe some of the Indian languages have it, I'm not sure. But Sanskrit has this very much, that you can construct a word of any length. There's no upper limit to how long a word can be. Because there is the concept of what is called as samasa. Samasa means joining words, okay, in appropriate manner by using the rules of many rules of samasa, many different types of samasa. So by using those rules, a very well-defined logical rules that you can even program a computer. There are people who have done this, computational Sanskrit. You can program a computer to actually do this, right? And you can program a computer to read this and understand and break it up also. And there's one site I will show you later, which has done this. So what does this mean? What does this long word mean? This is describing actually the surroundings of the Yamuna where they have reached. It says Sputat Sarogandha. I'll tell you each part of this and then I'll join it up. Sputat means that which has bloomed. Saro refers to the lotuses which have bloomed. Gandha, the smell of those lotuses. Hrita means that which has pulled, the smell has pulled. Ali refers to the bees. Ali, he means the bee, wasp bees. Particular type of big bees called the Ali. Patrika means the birds. The birds and the bees, they have been pulled by the smell of the bloomed lotuses on the bank of the Yamuna. There is a backwater of the Yamuna. Lotuses have bloomed there and the smell has pulled these bees. And what are those bees doing? Those bees and birds are dhvani. They are making sounds, lots of sound. The bees are making humming sounds. The birds are making chirping sounds. They are calling out to each other. But that dhvani by itself is not quiet. The dhvani is created a pratidhvana. Pratidhvana means echo. Pratidhvana. So the dhvani is pratidhvana, the echo. The dhvani and the pratidhvana both. Lasat drumakulam. Druma means the trees. So surrounding that place on the bank of the Yamuna, there are so many trees. And these echoes and the sounds are going through those trees. The echoes are heard in the trees. If you simply make a sound, there'll be no echo if there is nothing to make the echo, right? For example, there should be walls. That's when the echo comes, a mountain, the trees. That's where the echo comes from. So these trees are echoing. Akulam means it's so noisy. Akula, akulita. Akula actually means anxiety or something, but here it is noisy. These beautiful noises. He's praising it actually. These beautiful sounds of the bees and the birds and the lotus flowers and the trees that is filling this place on the bank of the Yamuna. So Krishna is telling them, look, what a beautiful place we have come to. Let us now rest here and let's have our lunch. Okay, in the next, as we go forward, it says, let's have our lunch. So immediately when the boys, they hear this, they all say, yes, let's do that. Okay, whenever Krishna says something, the boys immediately agree. Because he's their hero, right? He's their best friend. He's their most beloved object. He's so dear to all of them. He says something immediately, yes, we'll do it. So they all sit down there. Okay, they sit down and then they are joking with each other. They are opening their boxes. They're sharing what they have brought. They're showing each other, look, this is what Mummy has given me today. Right? Each of them is showing to the other boy. There's a lot of happiness in that mood. And the Bhagavatam shlokas, they describe this very nicely. Okay, then what happens? That is a description of what this looks like. Sarve mitho darshayantaha swaswa bhojya ruchim pritak hasanto hasayantascha abhyavajjahruhu saheshwaraha. Sahe Ishwaraha, Saha Ishwaraha, Ishwarena Saha. Along with their Ishwara, their master. Ishwara is Vedavyasa's usage. He says that he is the master of all of them. So, sitting with him, Hasantaha Hasayantascha, laughing and making each other laugh. Okay, so small children, when they're playing, you'll see them laughing, right? And they're tickling each other, they're telling jokes, they're making fun of each other. And there's no insult. When they make fun of each other, nobody gets insulted, right? They'll call each other different names. Abhyajahruhu. They had these exchanges. And sarve mitho darshayantaha swaswa bhojya ruchim pritak. So they were showing each other, just like I said now, they were showing each other their lunch boxes. Bibhradvenum jhatarapatayoho shringavetre chakakshe vame parnau masrina kavalam tatphalan yangulishu tishtan madhye swapari suhrudo hasayan narma bisvaihi swarge loke mishati bubuje yajnabuk balakelihi. So here Sri Bhagavan is described as balakelihi and yajnabuk. The last two words here. Yajnabuk means the one, Sri Bhagavan, who is actually the one who eats the offerings of all the yajnas. Okay, so yajna is the way of worship. Yajna literally means the fire sacrifice, where we make a homakunda. In the homakunda, we make an agni. And into the agni, we offer different types of sacrifices, right? With different types of items. Like we offer ghee, we offer rice, we offer til. Different other things also are offered one by one. And the understanding is this will reach Sri Bhagavan in some form. This is an offering for Sri Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is the yajna bhuk. He eats whatever is offered in the yajna. But that Bhagavan is now not eating something offered in yajna, but he is eating, sitting in the midst of all the boys, whatever his mother has given him in the morning. He is balakeli, means he's a small child who is engaged in so many activities of playing. He's not the Krishna we are describing here. He's not the Vishnu who is standing in Vaikuntha. So for example, if you go to Tirupati, you'll see there Vishnu standing as an idol, a deity. And in that form as his deity, he's being continuously offered prayers by so many bhaktas. In the morning, there is Suprabhatam. Then there are so many other chants. Vedas are chanted for him. Right? So many laddus are offered to him. Tirupati laddu is very famous. Right? It's a GI. I don't know if it's got a GI tag, but it's a GI. Right? Tirupati laddu. Right? Yeah. So Sri Bhagavan in Vaikuntha. So Tirupati is also called as Bhuloka Vaikuntha. Exactly the way he's treated in Vaikuntha, he's treated in Tirupati also. But here he is not being treated like that. Here, how he is being treated and what is happening. Bibhrat venum jatarapatayoho. So he's stuck that venu, his flute, into his waist. Okay, his waistee, his garment, in the gap between the garment and the stomach. He stuck his flute there because he has to eat lunch, no? Normally the flute in the hand. Now he has to eat the lunch, so the flute is stuck there. Shringavetre cha kakshe. So Shringa. So what are the other things he carries with him? Shringa means the horn. The horn of an animal is called Shringa. Now, when an animal dies, that Shringa is sometimes taken, and out of that, a particular kind of instrument is made. You can blow it like a horn. You can actually make a sound with it, and this is used by the Gopalakas to call the cows or to indicate to them where they are. Okay, Shringa. So that's carried with them. Vetra means a stick. Shringa Vetre. So stick, horn, a flute. These are kind of things that the boys are carrying. So where are they? They have been put under his armpit, like this. Shringa Vetre cha kakshe, under the armpit. So the flute is stuck inside this portion, and the horn and the stick are put under the armpit. Vame parnau masrina kavalam. Masrina kavalam. Masrina means very soft, right? Masrina kavalam. Vame parnau, in his left hand. Vamaha means left side. Vamahastha. Vamahastha means left hand. Dakshinahastha means right hand. Panihi means hand. Vame Panav, in the left hand, he is holding a soft ball of rice, ghee, curd, etc., mixed together. Right? Tat phalan yangulishu. And in his fingers, he is holding some fruits, small fruits like this bale fruit or some berries which have fallen from the tree. He is holding that. Tishtan madhya. He is standing in the middle of all the boys. Swapari suhridaha hasayan. And he is laughing. So in the middle of all his friends, his close friends, Narma bihi swaihi. He is making very playful comments. He's teasing them. He's making playful comments. Narma bihi swaihi, by his words. And watching all this, Swarge loke mishati bhubuje yajna bukus balakeli. So from the Swarga loka, they're all looking on. As they are looking on, Sri Bhagavan is eating his food and the others also are eating their food. So they're unable to believe because for them, in their mind, Bhagavan is that Vishnu that I just described, right? They cannot believe that this person that whom we are worshipping actually is now like this, is a boy, a cowherd boy. Body is covered with dust, cow dung, urine of the cow. They're all smearing his body. He plays he's barefoot sometimes. People are climbing on his shoulder. They're unable to believe it. So they are watching from the Swargaloka. They're watching. They're seeing this scene. What a scene this is. Right? So now what happens? So as this is happening, the boys are so much absorbed in this lunch and relaxing and playing with each other. So Bhagavan tells them that, the cows anyway, let's let them free. Why should they be also bound here? Let them go. Let them be free. So they go away. And they're gone. And after some time, they should come back, no? But somehow they are not coming back. So a long time has passed and the cows have vanished from here. So the boys start becoming anxious. What happened to the cows? Where are they? We're not able to see them. Until some time we could see them below the trees. They were grazing, but now where are they gone? So they tell each other, let's get up and go and find them. So at that point, Sri Bhagavan says, no, you people don't go anywhere. You keep here only. I will go bring them back. Okay, so that is his mentality. Sri Bhagavan is always ready to serve others. The first person to offer service is Bhagavan. Okay, when we say we should do seva to Bhagavan, we should realize that we are telling ourselves to do seva to somebody who actually is the best person for understanding what seva is. He is the best example of seva. Right? So he tells them, no, you don't go. He's not thinking, okay, I am God, no? These people are all my small parts. Let them go. Let me relax here. No. I will go. You relax here. I will go and find them. So please relax. So he goes. And it's described in the Bhagavatam how he got up as he was. He was half eating. And the ball of that rice ball was still in his hand. He just got up as it is. And he walked into the forest. So he's now searching. So he searched under the trees. He went into the forest. He reached the mountains. Then he went to the caves of the mountains. He searched in the valleys, the small gaps between the hills that were there. He searched everywhere that he could, but he could not find them. He could not find them. So he decided, okay, let me see if they have gone back. Maybe I missed them on the way. Let me see if they have gone back to the place and they are with the boys. After all, I'm searching here. So he starts coming back. Now, in the meantime, as he is searching, Brahma, who has been watching this, okay, Brahma actually in the universe, he is the greatest bhakta. But sometimes he also has some desires. In this case, he had a desire that I have just seen Sri Bhagavan killing Aghasura, such a big snake, much, much bigger than all the boys, but was such a fascinating sight how Bhagavan expanded himself. Let me see if Sri Bhagavan can do one more Leela. I'm really curious to know what he will do. So he decides to play a game with Bhagavan. So actually what has happened is that he has taken away the cows. When they were away out of the sight of the boys, Brahma took away the cows forcibly by the virtue of his Maya Shakti, his Shakti. He's very powerful, no, Brahma? He's got the power. He creates this entire universe by his by the energy of Bhagavan, he creates this entire universe, right? He's the designer, the engineer. He infuses the universe with the Prajapatis, etc. Extremely powerful. So what is there for him to take away a few cows? There's nothing. So he just takes away those cows. And when Sri Bhagavan is searching for them, he also takes away the boys. The boys who are left here, he takes them also away. So now, both the cows and the boys have been taken away by him. And Bhagavan, who is searching for the cows and thinking that the cows may have come back here, comes back to the same place where they were having lunch. And when he comes back, what does he see there? He sees a blank space. He doesn't see any of the boys. He doesn't see the cows also. So he now stands there and he thinks, what has happened? What could have happened? I mean, just now they were here. Have they got up and gone away? What could have happened? He's just reflecting. And as he is reflecting immediately from within, he has the realization that this has been done by that Brahman. Immediately. The next moment, he has this idea. He says, okay, I know why Brahma has done this. He wanted to enjoy my leelas. And I will give him happiness. That is my job. No? And I will not only make him happy, I will make all the mothers of both the boys and the cows, all the cows who are the mothers of the cows and the mothers of the boys, all of them, I will make them very happy. So what Sri Bhagavan does, Tatah Krishno mudam kartum tanmatrinam cha kasya cha ubhayayitam atmanam chakre vishwakridishwaraha. So at that point, Krishna decided that I will make the boys, the mothers of the boys and the cows very happy. I will also make Brahma happy. See here, tanmatrinam cha kasya cha. The word kasya here, ka in Sanskrit refers to Brahma. It's a symbolic word. The word letter ka is used to refer to Brahma. So kasya cha means of Brahma. Ubhayayitam, Shri Bhagavan duplicates it. So Ubhayam means two in Sanskrit. Ubhayam means two. So he decided to duplicate himself as each of those cows and the boys. Ubhayayitam. Atmanam Ubhayayitam. He duplicated himself into a calf and into a boy for each of those cows and boys. And how did he do it? Okay, so did he create some approximate models? Approximately, somebody looks like a calf, something looks like a boy. Okay, suppose I were to create a model of you, and I can create, if you go to that wax museum, you'll see one Amitabh Bachchan there. You'll see one Sachin Tendulkar there. You'll see big personalities there. There's a museum in London, right? Yeah, right. Now, if you go there, you'll be impressed because they look very similar. Very similar, right? You see people sometimes posting photos on WhatsApp or Facebook or something. Went there, they're standing next to Tendulkar, a hand around Tendulkar. Because real Tendulkar, they can't do that. So at least they got to go to London and put their hand around some wax statue of Tendulkar. That itself feels like a big thing, right? But then, if you look at that wax statue closely, you can make out it's only a wax statue. After all, it is not the real Tendulkar, right? It looks very similar, no doubt about that. And we should appreciate the artist who has done that. But still, it's an approximation only. So did Bhagavan create something, an approximation of each of these things? The next shloka describes what he created. It says, Yavat Vatsapa, Yavat Vatsapa, Vatsaka, Alpaka Vapuhu, Yavat Vatsapa, Vatsaka Alpaka Vapuhu, Yavat Karangryadikam. In exactly the same manner that Vatsa means the calf. And Vatsapa means the protector of the calf, that is the cowherd boy. Vatsaka means the calf. Alpaka Vapuhu, to exactly the same size, small size. Each of them were small, no? So exactly the same small size that they were. Yavat Karangryadikam, the exact hands and feet that they had in that same dimensions. Yavat Yashti Vishana Venu Dalashik. All the different things they were carrying, like the stick, the flute. Each of them were also carrying sticks, flutes, horns, They were carrying leaves because they're children, no? They're playing, they pick up leaves, branches, whatever branches and leaves they had, right? All of those things. Yavat vibhushambaram. All the clothes, the ornaments that they were wearing. Yavat chila gunabhidha kritivayah. Whatever qualities they had, those boys had, whatever character they had, Shila means character, Guna means qualities, Abhidha means their names, Akriti means their appearance, Vayaha, their age, exact age, Yavatu Viharadikam, their behavior, how they used to behave. So he duplicated himself in exactly the same manner that nobody can make out that they are different. With a wax statue, you can make out it is different. It looks very similar, you can appreciate it, but it's different. But here he made it so duplicate, of such an accuracy of duplication that nobody can make out it's different. Only he knows it's different. It's not that boy. He made it like that. Sarvam Vishnumayam Girongavad Ajaha Sarvaswarupo Bhabhav. So there is a saying, Sarvam Vishnumayam means everything is actually Vishnu only. That saying, Sarvam Vishnumayam, Giraha means the saying. Giraha means speech, sound, saying. Sarvam Vishnumayam Giraha Angavat. He gave it a form. Everything is Vishnu. By doing this, he gave it a form. He gave that saying a form. He gave an example. He demonstrated that. Everything is Vishnu. Ajaha Sarvaswarupo Bhabhav. He became everything. He immediately duplicated himself and became everything and gave substance to the saying that everything is Vishnu. Okay, this is a beautiful composition by Vyasadeva. Very poetic, at the same time very philosophical also. So in this manner, he duplicated himself. He had no anxiety that now what will I tell to the mothers? What will I tell? What will the cows will cry? The calves have not come. Absolutely no anxiety. He found a solution also immediately. And then they kept playing like they would normally do. And at the end of the day, like they normally go home, they all went home. The only difference was that now what is going home is Krishna and Krishna. Not Krishna and the cowherd boys and the cows. Only Krishna in so many different forms is going home. Right? So when they went home, the mothers, they thought their boys have come home. The cows, they thought their respective cows have come home. And as it normally happens, the mothers, they embraced the boys. They kissed them. They lifted them up. They immediately started feeding them. They were still quite small boys, so they had to be still fed breast milk. So the mothers would feed them breast milk, their milk. So the mothers started feeding them breast milk. The cows, they were looking eagerly waiting for the cows to come, right? So they found the cows, they started licking them. You see a cow, when it feels a lot of love, lot of affection, what does it do? It licks. All animals do that, right? Even dogs do that. The dog feels a lot of love, it comes and licks that person. So they started licking the cows because they had no idea that this is not our calf. This is not our son. Had absolutely no idea. They thought it's their own son, their own calf. So they treated them, the mothers fed them milk, they hugged them, embraced them, kissed them, everything. Only thing is now they were doing all this to Krishna. They were not doing it to their children. So every day in the morning, they would dress up like they would do for their children. Krishna would take that seva from them. And they would all go to the forest and come back. Krishna, in his mind, he knew that Brahma is doing this and he wanted Brahma to enjoy what he is doing. At the same time, he wanted these mothers and cows also to enjoy what they are doing. But now, because the cows and the boys were no longer the actual cows and the boys, but they were Krishna, and because Krishna actually is the dearest of all the Jivatmas, all the bhaktas, even in Vrindavan, even when their own children are there and the cows and calves are there, the dearest object of love is Krishna. And now it's Krishna himself. So suddenly what happened? The mothers and the cows, they started feeling even more affection for what they thought was their child than they were feeling earlier. Day by day, their affection for that ward that they were treating was going on increasing, was increasing day by day. So it so happens that once just 5 to 6 days before 1 year gets over. About 360 days have passed. 5 or 6 days before 1 full year gets completed. One day, all of them go to their grazing usual. And as they are passing by Govardhan, Govardhan is the region where they play. As they are passing by Govardhan, the cows and the Gopalakas, the fathers of these children, they have already gone earlier. They're already on top of Govardhan and they are grazing there. The big cows, the mothers, and the Gopalakas, they're all grazing there. And they are watching them coming. All of a sudden, the cows who are grazing, they feel excessive love for the calves who are going there. So they completely leave their spots. They're not supposed to leave. They're supposed to actually follow their masters, the Gopalakas, right? The Gopalas who are there, who are taking care of them, the cowherds. But now they suddenly leave the Gopalakas and they run down the hill, Govardhan Hill. And as they are running, they're not even following the path that they normally take. There's a path they go up normally, but they're not even going by that path. They take the shortest route available because they want to reach quickly. They're feeling so much affection. And they're risking their life because they may fall down, they may break their legs. They're running full speed. The Gopalakas, they suddenly see this. They're not able to understand why this happens. So they start calling out, stop, 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 but they don't stop. And they're getting angry. They get angry that why this is not listening. They're going to now scold them. So they run behind the cows. Even before they are able to catch up, the cows, they reach the cows and they start licking them. There's so much love. They feel excessive love, the prema. They feel the prema. They start licking those cows. And the Gopalakas reach there. When the Gopalakas reach there, they see all the cowherd boys. Actually Krishna, but they don't know. So they see all their cowherd boys, their sons. And when they see their sons, they forget that they were angry with the cows just now. And they feel that love towards their own boys, their own children. And they embrace them. They embrace their boys. They start kissing them. So this unusual phenomenon happens. And that day, Balaramji, Krishna's elder brother, in that Leela, he is also with them. It so happens that day he is with them. And he is watching all this. And he has also been watching that in the last 1 year, almost 1 year, the affection that these mothers are showing and these cows are showing is continuously going up. And now he watches this. He says, something is not normal here. There's something different in this. Why are they behaving like this? They should not be behaving like this. They're supposed to be grazing. They're supposed to come home at the end of the day. This sudden running of the cow, licking the calf like this madly, these Gopalas running and holding their boys, this should not happen. So he becomes very suspicious about what happened. And he goes to Krishna. And he inquires with him. Krishna something looks unusual. Have you done anything? To me, it looks like this cannot be an ordinary form of Maya. I can make out there is some kind of Maya involved here. But Maya cannot delude me. Actually, Balaram and Krishna are actually the same. Balaram is also a form of Krishna. Krishna becomes, or Vishnu becomes Anantasesha. Krishna becomes Balaram. Balaram and Anantasesha are one, right? So Maya is below them. Maya which deludes the Jivatma, the Mahamaya, we call it Mahamaya or Durga, that cannot delude Bhagavan, or it cannot delude Balaram also. Here, Yogamaya is at work. Yogamaya is the Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan. She does seva to Bhagavan in this manner. So Balaram says, this cannot be Mahamaya, this must be some Yogamaya working. And Bhagavan's arrangement must be there in this. So he goes to Krishna and says, please tell me, please reveal to me, what have you done? You have done something. So Krishna reveals the whole thing to him. Krishna tells him that this is what has happened. Right? So now what happens after this? What happened to Brahma? Brahma has taken away the boys. What happens to him? How long does this go on? So we will have to wait for 1 week. We don't have to wait for 1 year. To find the answer, we'll just have to wait for 1 week. And next week, I'll tell you the answer. The second part of the story will continue. Okay. So this story essentially tells us how Bhagavan is not like the Jivatma. We should not mistake him. Going back to the Bhagavad-gita shloka we saw today, Avajananti mam mudaha manushim tanumashritam. When we see Bhagavan having a human-like body, his body is having the same form as a human, it is not correct to say that because we are human, we conceived of a God who also looks like a human. Some people even extend this argument saying that if a dog has to worship, then a dog will think of a God who looks like a dog. No, it's not true. It's not like that. So Shri Bhagavan clears off those kind of misconceptions in the Bhagavad Gita. If we are able to accept the Bhagavad Gita, then this misconception will go away. So because he happens to have a human-like form, and he creates human beings in this form, it's the human birth in which we can realize Bhagavan. We sometimes mistake him for being an ordinary human being. But he is not, and this Leela shows us that. So ultimately, what is the takeaway? The connection with Bhagavan is the goal of Bhagavad Gita. It's through that connection that we get our eternal happiness. And the Bhagavad Gita inspires this purpose into us. You see, many times, we feel sad, we feel depressed. We don't know where life is going, right? We don't know, for example, if we get into something, am I really, is this really what I want to do in life? This doubt comes. But when we read the Gita, when we understand the reality as presented in the Bhagavad Gita, a lot of these misconceptions go away and we get clarity in what we should do in life. We develop a clear sense of purpose in life. So that is the purpose of reading the Bhagavad Gita. And for today's class, I will stop with this. And if you have any questions, any comments, doubts, you can take that. Those who are online also, please feel free to ask anything. Was my audio clear to all of you?
Yes, sir. Pranam.
Thank you.
Can you please move to those slides where the word more was used?
Yeah. Yes.
So here we, by ignorant person, we mean that person who thinks that Sri Bhagavan is the same as any other human.
Yeah, in the specific context, the word ignorant means that. Vichetasa specifically means the person who does not know what Sri Bhagavan's real nature is. Or he thinks that the person that we worship as Krishna is just an ordinary human being who became very powerful or who has got some good qualities. He thinks like that.
But so here, person, some conception of Sri Bhagavan, but not the right. This is what.
No, what it means here is that this person who is performing these leelas as Krishna, whom we talk about as Krishna, there's nothing Bhagavan about him. There's nothing God about him. Why are we making a God out of him? He's after all a human being. We are willing to accept that he is a powerful person. He's intelligent, he's powerful. But after all, he's also a human like us. Just like we have many other powerful human beings, right? He's just like them. He has his desires. Just like I have desire, he also has desire. He's got his weaknesses. So he's just a good human being. We should not mistake a human being for being God. This is what many people say. That's the meaning here.
This would people who do not believe in him. So that ignorance is different from the one that is.
Complete atheists. Yeah. So yes, it might include them also. So it might include both types of people who believe that there is something called a higher power, but it is some energy, some power. Okay, there are so many variations of this. There are some people who believe that there is something called as Brahma, and supreme consciousness. There's one supreme consciousness, Brahma, and each of us is that Brahma only. And that Brahma itself manifests in the form of different bodies. And that same Brahma looks at another manifestation of itself and thinks that there is God. It doesn't realize that I also am God. Tat Tvamasi Aham Brahmasmi. That there is no separate entity called God. That there's only one entity and we are all that entity only.
There is permanent reality. The causation is independent of the cause. So, wherein, but if we talk about these shlokas, they say that, okay, na maya milinam, they would not either attain some materialistic pleasure or even some spiritual realization. But when there are Buddhist monks who have been to a self-realized state, so is this shloka only for one who has some conviction in the Vedantic schools or say other Astic schools, or this might
It's
also
like this, to understand any system of knowledge, to understand anything, we need to go with some conviction in that thing, right? Okay, well, if it's just a theoretical understanding, you don't need that conviction. But if you want to adopt that into your life, internalize it, and explore if it can transform you, for it to transform you, you need to have that conviction. To just theoretically understand, you don't need that conviction. You just need to be able to understand the words and the logic. That's all. That anybody can do, right? But if it has to transform you or transform us, then we need to have that conviction. Yeah, they have conviction in their process. They have some understanding of the ultimate reality. And in the course of going towards the ultimate reality, the Buddhists put themselves to a lot of tapasya. That tapasya purifies them. Even though they don't have this understanding of Bhagavan, they don't accept the Bhagavad-gi, they have some understanding of the higher reality. There is a higher reality in their mind. There is no permanent reality. Yeah. So that is their understanding of reality, higher reality. Yeah. Tapasya purifies them. They perform a lot of tapasya. They believe in simplicity. They believe in meditation. They believe in abstention from sensual pleasures. That purifies them, isn't it? Yeah.
and the breath here. They can go without food for days.
So ultimately, what do they want? They want sukha, right? Sukha. The word sukha is used in Buddhism also. That's their goal. Genuine happiness. There's a paper also, interestingly, on Buddhist genuine happiness. I'll share it with you, just doctoral scholars who are here. So, sukha, the goal for them is sukha, that ultimate happiness. What is the goal for us? It's exactly the same, right? Prema. That's higher than that sukha also, right?
Previous ones, Maheshwar, World War
Hmm. Maheshwara, yeah. It's used for Shiva, it's used for Krishna, Vishnu. Mahan cha asau Ishwarascha Maheshwara. Parameshwara. Parameshwara is also used for Bhagavan Vishnu as well as for Shiva. Used for both. Depending on the context, you have to see which context it is, and then you can know whom it's referring to.
So,
Just one
hello.
second, sir. Somebody is asking a doubt here. Richa, yes? Richa,
Yes,
you were asking
Pranam.
some.
Yes, sir.
Pranam.
I wanted to understand if you could one more time, explain what does Aham Brahma Asmi mean. You mentioned that.
Aham
I
Brahma
understand
Asmi.
there's a difference, but I wanted to understand the shloka better.
Aham Brahma Asmi. The word Brahma here refers to the ultimate consciousness. It's interpreted by different people in different ways. But how do we understand Brahma? Brahma is one of the labels of Sri Bhagavan. Sri Bhagavan is given 3 different terms. Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan.
Hmm.
Okay, why are these three different terms given to him in the Bhagavatam? Because of three different types of realization by those who aspire for him. So some people, they have an understanding that the ultimate reality is formless, it has no qualities, it has no variegatedness in it, it has no differentiation. It is just one large entity which is just consciousness existing as an entity. That's all. That
Yeah.
is, so they worship that reality as Brahma. The term is used. So Sri Bhagavan, who is actually full of features, full of qualities, he's got a form, he's got a name, he's got names, multiple names, he's got everything. Now he appears because they aspire for him like that. Says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Just as people approach me in the same way, I reciprocate with them. In the manner in which people approach me, I reciprocate with them. So he reciprocates with those people as that reality, the reality which has no form, no qualities, no variegatedness, etc. Okay, so that understanding of reality is called Brahma.
Hmm.
So Aham Brahmasmi means I am Brahma. Each of us, Jivatma, is actually Brahma. Okay, we are a living being. In the basic word for the living being is Jivatma, Atma. Aham Brahmasmi means the Jivatma is that Brahma. Jivatma is the same as that Brahma. Do you understand?
Yes. Thank you.
So this is one of the tenets of Vedanta.
So can
Sarthak, yes, you had a doubt, yeah. Yeah.
differentiated Sri Brahma from Sri Bhagavan? How we differ? So can you similarly elaborate more on Shiva?
Yeah, so I described that Brahma is a Jivatma. He is the most perfect Jivatma inside this universe, inside the Brahmanda. It's called the Brahmanda. So he is a Nitya Bhakta. Our Brahma, the Brahma in our universe, is a Nitya Bhakta. Shiva is not a Jivatma like Brahma. The Shiva that we worship is, you can say, a form of Bhagavan Vishnu only. But in that form, he departs from his character as Vishnu and takes on a completely different nature, completely different character. Right? He takes the character of a tapasvi. He's the perfect sadhu. He's also, when he comes into this bhautik jagat, he takes the role of destruction. Anger and destruction are present in him as his quality and responsibility. So Shiva and Vishnu actually are one, and there is a eternal bond in those two forms. But the relationship between Shiva and Vishnu, the two forms, is not the same as the relationship between Vishnu and Krishna. Vishnu and Krishna are both Vishnu Tattva. Shiva is called a Shiva Tattva. Shiva Tattva is said to be distinct from Vishnu Tattva. But Shiva Tattva is very different from the Jiva Tattva. We are Jivatma. Shiva is not a Jivatma. Shiva does not come under Mahamaya like we do. Mahamaya is Durga. Durga is also not. She is his Bahiranga Shakti. Durga is one of the Shaktis of Bhagavan. She is above the Jivatmas. So she appears, or she has the role of the consort of Shiva and the sister of Vishnu. She is the sister of Vishnu as Subhadra. She appears as Subhadra, Durga.
So Shri Ganesh, he is also not.
Ganesh, the incarnation of Ganesh, he can be a Jivatma. See, what happens is these forms that appear to us as different devatas, there's a concept known as Anupurvi, means they repeat themselves. For example, Krishna Leela does not happen just once. We are now in the Vaivasvata Manvantara. This is the 28th Chaturyuga of the Vaivasvata Manvantara. I've explained that to you earlier, right? So in this we saw Krishna Leela, but that's not the only time Krishna Leela happens. It happens in some other yuga earlier. It happens later also. Similarly, in these forms known as Ganesha, Kartikeya, or the different avatars that Shiva takes, these happen repeatedly. So sometimes a Jivatma may take that form as Ganesh, if he is qualified to become that, or as Surya. Now, in particular, Ganesha, I'll have to read more about Ganesha Tattva, but you see the devatas like Surya, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, etc. They are basically Jivatmas, but sometimes Vishnu takes that form. Yeah. Ganesha is described as a Bhagavan. Yeah. Yeah.
He is equated with the Swar Om also.
Yes. Yes. So sometimes that Supreme Person, Vishnu, Bhagavan, Vishnu himself may take that form as Ganesha. Right? Appear as Ganesh. Yeah. He can be worshipped like that. Yes. Yeah. So he's also worshipped in that form.
Story determine who is the difference between Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and not bring more stuff to one of these.
So the Puranas are full of different types of narratives like this between the different devatas, or between the devatas and the ordinary human beings, the Jivatmas. Sometimes animals are involved. So these are all done to essentially take us towards Dharma, understand Dharma in different ways, the principles of Dharma, the different values that are there in society, and to drive us towards some meaningful purpose in life, to give us a purpose, give us direction. All these narratives exist for that purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Indians here.
Hmm.
We talked about Sri Shiva and we said this he is the perfect sadhu. But when we say Yogishwaram, so it is referred to as Sri Krishna. So
Yogeshwara. Yeah.
so how is Sri Krishna?
So he's also Yogeshwara. So these terms are used because, see, maybe in some place you will see Narada Muni also referred to as Yogeshwara or Mahatma. Bhagavan. The word Bhagavan may be, but the word Bhagavan may be used there in that context. So in the context, we have to see what it means. The word Bhagavan is sometimes used for Shiva or Ganesha. So in this context, what does Bhagavan mean? It means a great personality endowed with so many qualities which ordinary people don't have. Right? That's what it means. So if you address Narada as Bhagavan, or sometimes you may address your Guru as Bhagavan. Right? You don't mean, when you say address your Guru as Bhagavan, you don't mean that he has become Krishna. He is still a das of Krishna only. That understanding is there. But your Guru has so many wonderful qualities that are not in you. My Guru has so many qualities that are not in me. So for me, he is Bhagavan. He is closer to Bhagavan than to me. He's at the feet of Bhagavan. So I address him as Bhagavan. So in the context in which that word is used, we have to see. So Yogeshwara, Maheshwara, these words are used in different ways. Like you use the word sir. We may use sir, we may use his excellency. These kind of adjectives are used to indicate greatness. That's all.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
I just wanted to, I think Sarthak's question was not very clear to me, but I guessed that he was asking the difference between Vishnu and Shiva, I guess. Is that correct?
That was one of his questions. Yeah, you want to say something on that?
Yes. In the Bhagavatam itself, there's a conversation between Krishna and Uddhava, if I may remember. And there Sri Krishna tells very clearly that people who think that me and Shiva are different are actually foolish people. He says that me, Brahma and Shiva, and particularly me and Shiva are identical. So those who disrespect Shiva are disrespecting me as well. So he makes this point very clear. And this point comes again in the Ramayanam, where I think this where Rama hears the story of birth of Hanuman. There again, because Hanuman is said to be the Shankara Tattva, Shiva Tattva. So there again, he tells that you are always in my remembrance. You are always remembering me. I mean, in meditating upon me. He tells Shiva. So these points about Vishnu and Shiva being same comes again and again in the Puranas. It is we human beings who put them in two different boxes, and we create differences in the bhaktas, and we tell the Shiva bhaktas you are like this and Vishnu bhaktas are like this. That is not the case according to the Puranas.
Yeah, we create those distinctions, correct. In fact, in the japa of Harinam, there are 10 aparadhas we should avoid. 10 aparadhas to be avoided when we do japa, for the japa to be effective. We chant the names of Bhagwan, which is the most fundamental practice of bhakti. And in that, one of the 10 offenses is to see bhedbhav between Shiva and Krishna. So it's one of the 10 offenses is to see the bhedbhav. And to say that one of them is superior, the other one is inferior. Some people say that Shiva is superior, Vishnu is inferior. There was a war between Shiva and Vishnu, and Shiva won the war. Vishnu had to then do some seva to Shiva to make up for that. There's one narrative like that somewhere. And there's another narrative which tells about how Vishnu and Shiva had some war, and then Vishnu defeated Shiva. Okay, there may be these narratives in the Shastra, because they are told for people of different types of Shraddha. Some people, their Shraddha is in one particular deity. So some story is told like this to strengthen that Shraddha so they can focus more on that deity. That's all. But when you come to Parodharma, Uttama Dharma, then you forget all Bhedbhav. This kind of Bhedbhav should be removed. And you chant with a pure mind, Shuddhaman. Right? So we are now in that realm. We want to go to Parodharma, Uttama Dharma. Yeah, Anjana. Yeah.
The main purpose is to drive us towards the Dharma.
Yes. Yes, yes.
So, is there any easy way to classify the main tenets as per these scriptures, or is it just that parodharma, like doing good for others, paropkar, is that the only definition of?
That is the highest form of dharma. Paropakar is something that is common to all forms of dharma. But the highest form of paropakar is when we realize our original nature, our most fundamental nature as jivatmas, different from this body, when we are able to realize that, and as being different from this material prakriti. And our dasatva to Bhagavan, that we are actually servants of Bhagavan. Then the paropakar reaches its best stage. But even in Samanya Dharma, paropakar is inbuilt into it. The mentality of paropakar. For example, Atithi Devo Bhava. So if Atithi comes, how do we serve the Atithi? We take care of that Atithi. We ensure the Atithi does not feel anything uncomfortable. To the extent that it is said that even if an enemy comes to your house, somebody you know actually has an intention to kill you. But suppose they come as an Atithi to your house for something. They come to invite you for their son's marriage. And even though you know that maybe this person has a larger plan of eventually killing me or getting rid of me, but at that point of time when they come, then you treat that Atithi like God, even if he is of that nature. This is called paropakar at the Samanya Dharma. This is, in fact, Dharma builds on these principles, the basic principles of Dharma and all these kind of things. Paropakar, Dan, giving charity first before eating ourselves, giving to somebody else, these kind of things. Now, when these things reach the realization that I am a part of Bhagavan, I'm just a small fragment, particle of dust at the feet of Bhagavan, and my best perfection is to learn how to serve him in pure love, develop that love. And that love towards Bhagavan includes love towards all living beings, free from complete any form of anger, jealousy, envy, hatred towards others. Everything is wiped out. So that is the highest form of paropakara. Yes.
But the sense of beauty, that line in context of someone.
Yoga, when we talk about the word yoga, in any form, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga, in any form, yoga is a departure from samanya dharma. We are going to parodharma. Samanya dharma, there is no yoga. The only yoga that you do there, what can be called yoga, is you connect with a better material future. You're not connecting with a spiritual future. You're not connecting with Bhagavan in the sense of yoga. You're not thinking of eternal life. You're thinking of how to go to Swargaloka, for example, how to get punya. That is samanya dharma. How to live a dharmic life so I can get punya. And by getting punya, I can then get more enjoyment in the future, a better life in the future. Right? It's like earning credit points. Even for that, paropakara is required. Yeah, for that, karma is required. That is not karma yoga. That is karma. Karma without the suffix yoga. When the word karma is used, that means a person is following dharma. At the center of all dharma is karma. Samanya dharma. It's built on that. But there is no yoga there. In the yoga is defined in the Bhagavad-gi. Yoga begins when you say that you want to now break out of samanya dharma. That's why it's called parodharma, superior dharma. You want to go out of this samsara. You don't want to take this material body again. You don't want a material existence again. You want a pure existence, which is out of this existence. Is it clear to you now?
So can beautifulness
It's also part of parodharma. Exactly. That's where it becomes yoga. When you start the detachment, the akanksha goes away towards that fruit. Asakti, akanksha goes away. That's where it becomes parodharma. So in samanya dharma, you do your work for the fruit. Your motivation is the fruit. In parodharma, the motivation is not the fruit. The motivation is the yoga, connection. Yoga means what? Connecting with Bhagavan. You want to connect with Bhagavan. You want to become like him. You want to develop his qualities. He is detached. We learned in the last session, right? Bhagavan has no attachment to anything. You want to become like him. It's so inspiring. He's my perfection. He's my hero. He's my role model. Right? That thinking is the motivation for yoga. Right?
So one last quick question.
Yeah.
You talked about how different Puranas or Shastras may have some stories about wars between Shiva and Vishnu, and one winning over the other, just to drive conviction of some person in that particular deity, so that he might follow the path of bhakti towards the Ishtadev and then achieve yoga.
Yeah.
But sir, now this generates a query, since these are mentioned in Shastra. So yes, I know Pratyaksha Praman, I know Anuman Praman. But now how do I know which Shastra to consider for Shabda Praman and which to not consider?
So through Guru, they say that Sri Bhagavan resides in everybody's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishtaha mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I reside in the heart of every living being. This is in 15th chapter. In the 18th chapter, Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Says that I reside as Ishvara in the hearts of all the living beings, and I take them around in this material samsara according to their desires. So Shri Bhagavan guides that Jivatma towards the Shastra which will suit his desire, which will take him according to his Shraddha. He tries to bring him towards himself in different ways, but the Jivatma is not ready for it. So to prevent him from committing more aparad or more, see, for example, if he thinks that Krishna is an ordinary human being, it becomes an aparad. And that prevents him from getting bhakti in future. If the long-term intention is to give him bhakti, then Bhagavan should take him to a place where he will not commit an aparad which will prevent him from getting that bhakti in the future. So he takes him to a place where he can follow some form of dharma, some deity that he can worship. Okay, most of the population who have some shraddha in Shastra, I'm not talking about the atheists, or I'm not talking about people who reject the Shastra altogether. Those who follow the Shastra, now, most of them, they follow the Shastra because they want some material benefit in return. By doing this puja, I will get something, my son will get admission in the college. By doing this puja, my wife's operation will happen successfully. So this kind of faith is the dominant faith in most people, right? This is what drives any form of religion, any form of dharma. So he takes people to the Shastra, which gives them that faith. And
according to my own convictions, I can pick and choose which Shastra should I select as Shabda Praman, which
he's taking you to that. You're not picking, and it's not like you have all the intelligence and you're going and saying, okay, let me now input my Shastra and this is where it will point to. It's not working like that, right? Because how much do we know? How much knowledge do we have? So we have some faith. We are attracted to something. Our attractions, see, we are driven by our attractions, right? When something attracts us, we go there, we ask that person, we get impressed by him. We go to some sadhu. The sadhu speaks nicely to us. He tells us something, it sounds clear. Then we do what he says, that sadhu says. Now, if we have a good experience with that sadhu, then we will go back to the same sadhu again. If we have a bad experience, we will not go to him. That's how it works, right?
But if I have inherent conviction in Srimad Bhagavad-gi, not the Vedas, so that is also by the grace of Sri Bhagavan.
Yes.
And that is perfect. If we following the Vedas, but I do believe in Srimad Bhagavad-gi.
Exactly. It is very much. The Itihasa and Puranas, they complement the Veda. They go with the Veda. In fact, the Veda, they have perfect knowledge in them. If somebody understands them and follows them, he will get perfection. He will get bhakti also. But unfortunately, not everybody has the ability to understand them, to chant them, recite them, follow them. Right? Vedas are more difficult to understand comparatively. And therefore, the Itihasa and Purana has been written in a manner that more people can easily understand them. So if you follow what they are saying, then you get that same perfection that you get in the Veda, through the Veda. In fact, in the 15th chapter, he says, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyaha, Vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Through all the Veda, it is I who am to be known. And now I'm giving that same knowledge through the Bhagavad-gita. That's how it is. So we don't have to worry about not studying the Veda, not being able to recite the Veda. We don't have to worry about that.
As a student,
Yeah.
as a student, so the most important things that we are connected to our books.
Yeah.
So there are so many books, like so much of knowledge, so many books that are there existing, but we often experience this, that whatever is of interest to us, we are automatically, that comes in front of us as a book, as a thought, as some reading in form of a knowledge that is being shared amongst peer groups or from professors or any source that we're referring to. It just comes in front of us.
Yeah.
Out of so much of knowledge that is existing.
Yeah.
We somehow land to where we are supposed to, or where we are attracted to.
Yeah.
The other day, we were just sitting in library near Lakshya. I just happened to connect with him, and we just happened to talk about a book which was quite interesting. The name was Silence. So that's how I just felt very grateful to. It was just a random conversation, but we happened to discuss something that was so meaningful. for the whole life.
Yes. True. You're driven by attraction, yes.
May we all be attracted to Sri Bhagavan.
Yes, that's the greatest fortune, if we're able to develop that conviction and attraction towards him. So shall we now do the Antyamangalam and close? Om Swasti Prajapyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahishaha Brahmanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samastas Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padagum Sada Pashyanti Surayah Divi Vachakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagruvagum Sassamindhate Vishnor Yat Paramam Padam Parya Aptya Anantarayaya Sarvastamotiratra Uttama Mahadbhavati Sarvasyaptyai Sarvasya Jityai Sarvameva Tena Apnoti Sarvam Jayati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dhanyavadaha. Punarmilamaha.